Avoid these common pitfalls when it comes to investing. If you're in your 20s and you have some extra cash to go ahead and invest, it's important to consider all your different options when it comes to investing. That way you're making the best financial decision for your future. I see too many people my age making these costly financial mistakes that backtrack their financial future. And if you're a teenager, make sure you watch to the end, because if you follow these steps, it's going to go ahead and put you ahead of the game financially so you can go ahead and start winning in the future. I know if I knew this earlier, I would have been way farther down the road financially. Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Chris Mo. If you don't know me, I do $1 to $2 million in construction sales, got a 6-figure income, some passive investments, and I love business. You see, I make these videos to teach my generation the truth about living a better life and to just talk business. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you the 5 costly mistakes that people make when it comes to investing. These are things that I personally have lost money myself, and I wish someone would have told me earlier not to be spending my money on these things because it had cost me a lot of money and a lot of time. Now I'm just playing catch up. I lost so much money that if I knew all of this, I could have placed that money and put it towards another investment that could have put me so much farther down the road financially. I don't want anyone to lose money, so hopefully you can learn from my past experiences and you can save yourself a ton of money and not have to pay for it the way I did. So without further ado, let's get started. Look, we all go through it. We want to look rich. We want to show the world that we are making it out there. Why? Because we want to impress others. At least that was the case for me. Earlier in my years when I was 16, when I originally started making money, I was spending so much money and saving none. Why? Because I was dumb and I didn't know anything about money. It didn't help that my parents didn't know anything or spoke the language of money. So I went ahead and just spent it all. I learned everything the hard way. I didn't go bankrupt or anything like that, but now that I think about it, if I were to go back and sum up all the money that I spent over the years, if I would have just lived humbly, I would have gathered up a ton of money that I could have used to go ahead and put into much bigger projects that would have put me down way ahead of the game. The sad thing is that there's no one to blame but myself. I fell a victim of what's called lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation occurs when an individual's income rises and their expenses rises proportionally to that, which causes them to continue to live paycheck to paycheck. Now, none of these items are in order, but they do need to be taken with the heaviest precaution because these pitfalls can cost you a ton of money. Let's start with the first one, which is a car. A car is not a good investment because it's a depreciating asset, meaning it would lose value over time. The value of a car decreases for many different factors, such as putting miles on it, wear and tear, or just the overall market and economy just changing. There are some exceptions to the rule, like say for example, classic cars or collectible cars that go up in value, but that's because people actually want these cars as time goes by. It's not like these last couple of years where cars were going up in price because of the chip shortage. As we're seeing now in the market, prices of cars are currently going down to what their real values are. However, these cars that don't lose value require expertise knowledge. That way you don't lose money. For the average person like you and me, a car is a depreciating asset. And the only reason we need a car is to get from point A to point B. Who cares whether you're driving a Honda or a BMW? The way I see it is that most people buy a luxury car, they take on this big payment, they have huge monthly expenses just to maintain that car, and that sucks them up financially. And people tend to buy these cars because they want to look cool, they want to impress others, when in reality, behind closed doors, they're gonna be suffering just to keep up with those payments. There's a reason why we have repos. So by all means, avoid buying a luxury car. If you can push this purchase to your late 20s or early 30s, which is what I'm doing, I'm going to be driving my Nissan until I'm 30. That's the best financial decision that you can do. That way you can get that money with those big monthly payments and put it into bigger projects. Now for the next 4 items, I'm going to tell you them fairly quickly because it's not the items that are important. It's the reason behind why they're the worst investment that's important. Now the next 4 worst investments that you can do are food, shoes, clothes, and phones. Now, these are all consumer goods that we buy as a necessity, but can sometimes be taken as an unnecessary luxury good. Let me explain. People overspend on these items for 5 reasons. The first one being impulse buying, meaning people are making purchases out of impulse reactions for the desire for instant gratification or because something just catch their eye. Many times I have bought something without thinking twice about it, not thinking about how it's going to affect my bank account. This happens to a lot of people. We have to be able to control ourselves and think twice before we make these purchases because a lot of times these purchases can actually hurt us instead of just giving us that quick dopamine when it comes to buying these things. The next reason being fashion trends. People want to be in the moment. People want to be where everyone is talking about. People feel pressured to buy these fashion trends. That way they can be the talk of the talk, which can be expensive. I'll be the first to admit that I have been a victim of this myself. I wanted to fit in just like everyone else. I wanted to look cool or successful, and I see this a lot when it comes to young adults. They just want to look good so they can impress others. They get their first taste of money and they start spending it. I know I did this when I was a lot younger. When I originally started making money, I started buying these fancy clothes, fancy shoes, and fancy cars, when in reality all it was doing was sucking me dry. It's okay not to fit in. No one's going to remember what you wore for 10, 15, 20 years from now. And this rolls into the next reason, which is peer pressure. Sometimes we're placed in groups where our peers want to go ahead and pressure us to look exactly like them, and we just want to go ahead and fit in, or they tell us to buy this because they bought it and we feel that it's a must in order for us to fit in. Look, I get it. It sucks to be an outlier, but spending money just to fit in is not cool. Eventually, it's not a long-term play. Yeah, it's going to bring you happiness in the short run, but in the long run, it's just going to hurt you. You have to start looking at things on how they're going to affect you in the long term, not the short term. A lot of times when we buy these little things, yeah, they give us that instant gratification and that instant happiness, and they allow us to fit in, but later down the road, you'll notice that these clothes, they just depreciate. These shoes, they're no longer in. And these phones, there's a new one out. So it's going to get expensive later. Now, the fourth thing is emotional consumption, meaning people are spending money just to cope with their emotions. I know a lot of people that just go on a shopping spree to make them feel good. I know that because I've been one of them. I am sometimes one of them. Sometimes I get a really big check and I start thinking, what can I spend this money on? And it's just that instant gratification that gives me those dopamine feeling where I just want to buy something to make myself feel better. Eventually, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If I start looking back of all the things that I've bought just to make myself feel better, whether it's a new shirt, new shoes, new phone, it adds up to thousands of dollars. I've learned that this does help, but it's only temporarily. In the long run, you're going to be stuck with those emotional feelings. So the only one that really wins in this scenario are the businesses that sell you these items. So learning to deal with your issues the right way and cope with them the right way is the best way to not emotionally buy things. In reality, I think therapy is a lot less expensive than buying these shoes that come out or these phones that come out every single year. Lastly, it's the lack of budgeting. People do not write things down. They don't budget, or they don't have a game plan on how much they're going to be spending every month. By not doing this, you're blindly just purchasing things and not realizing the effect that it has on your bank account. And this goes deeper than just overspending. Many people don't plan their life out. They don't figure out and make a plan for the next steps that they're going to take in life. And when you don't have a plan, you're just going to plan to fail. A plan is better than no plan. And this can trigger down to making investments when it comes to stocks, crypto, real estate, all these different things. You have to think twice before putting your money into something. Look, I'm not anyone's parents, nor am I a financial advisor, but I am pretty good with money. And the reason I know that is because it's gotten me this far. By learning from my mistakes, I have learned to increase my income, but keep my expenses the same, because in the long term, materialistic things only bring short-term happiness. These things aren't investments. In reality, they're just cash cows that are gonna eat up all your money, and this will slow down your progress. It's important to be mindful of these factors. That way you can manage your money better. At least now you're aware of all these financial mistakes, and it can save you a ton of money in the long run. Because think about it, if you spend $200 on food, $200 on a car payment, $200 on clothes, $200 on shoes, or $1,000 on a phone, if you think about it on a yearly basis, that's over $5,000 a year that you could have used on something else. It's numbers that we don't think about, but have some serious long-term effects. But hey, that's it for today. Hopefully this gave you some knowledge and some insights to live your life a little bit more cautiously so you can make better financial decisions. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.